Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 best ways to buy rental investment property without 20% down. In this video, you're going to learn what the 3 options are, how each of them work, and where you might find the opportunity to use each one. So let's jump in. Now, this video is recorded exclusively for realestatebees.com. My name is Nick Disney. I've been a real estate investor for over 15 years. I'm the owner of Sell My San Antonio House, and we are a real estate investment company located in San Antonio, Texas. First, why do banks and different investment companies have this requirement that you put 20% down? Well, your traditional lenders want you to put a large amount down because it lessens their risk. But if you have to put down 20% on every property, it can really slow down your ability to buy additional investment rental property because you need to save another 20% each time you want to buy it. So let's look at our first option of how you might buy investment property without having to put down 20%. The first way is through seller financing. Now, seller financing simply means that the seller of the home is going to finance the property back to you. So instead of you going to get a traditional loan and paying them and then paying the loan company, you're going to make payments to that seller over time. So how would you set this up? You simply need to first agree to terms with the seller regarding how you're going to make the payments to them. And one of the things that you're going to agree on is the amount of down payment. This would be completely negotiable between you and the person selling the property. So very likely that it would be less than 20% and could be as little as you both feel comfortable with. Now, the documents for that can be prepared at your local title company, which is where you'll close the transaction. They all work with real estate attorneys, and those real estate attorneys will be very comfortable preparing documents for a note, a deed of trust, which will be your agreement of how you're going to pay back that seller. When might this work well for both you as the person buying the rental property and the seller, the person who's going to sell the home? A couple of times when this works really well is first, when the seller doesn't need all of the money right now from the home. Perhaps it's an extra home, perhaps they're not buying another house, or for whatever reason, they don't need that lump sum right now, and they'd be happy to take payments over time, especially if you offer them a fair interest rate and they feel comfortable selling the property to you. Another time is if you're buying a rental property from someone who's already a landlord. They will quite often understand that they can still receive monthly cash flow, but instead of it coming from rent as them being the landlord, it's now coming from you because they are the bank for you and have financed the property to you. So you'll make payments to them. You are the owner of the property, and then you can go rent out your property without having to put 20% down. The second way is by using a hard money lender. Now, don't let the name fool you. It's simply a lender who specifically does investment loans. Their entire business is doing loans for investment property. They will do all kinds of investment property, but one thing that they'll do is give you a short-term hard money loan for a property that you're going to turn into a rental property. So how would that work? The majority of hard money lenders will let you borrow up to 70% of the ARV. The ARV is simply the after repaired value. So let's take a property you found. It needs some repairs, but after being fixed up, be worth quite a bit more. And you can judge that by comps in the neighborhood that have been fixed up, and you can see where they sell to get your ARV for a property similar to yours. Once you know that number, you can take this deal to this lender and they will let you borrow up to 70% of the ARV, knowing that this is a short-term loan and you plan to refinance later to keep it as an investment property. So how would that look? We'll use some simple numbers, but if you're going to buy the property for $50,000, you know it needs repairs, and so you're going to put in $20,000 in repairs, you would need $70,000. But once you fixed it up and you did those repairs, that the after repaired value is going to be $100,000. You can take that deal to these investment lenders who specifically lend on investment property. So they're completely okay with lending on a property that needs a lot of repairs that some other lenders may choose to avoid. And if they'll let you borrow the $70,000, you can purchase the property and the repairs without having that 20% out of your own pocket. Now, since we know if this is a rental property, you're probably looking to keep it long term. These are not typically long term loans. So you would use this money to purchase the property, to do the repairs. You could go ahead and look to get it rented, but all of them have relationships with long term rental lenders. And what you can then do is go to the long term rental lender and say, hey, I've got this property. It's worth $100,000. They'll do an appraisal and they'll say, great job. We'll loan you on a long-term loan 70% of the appraised value, which gives you your $70,000 again. You'll use that to pay back this first loan in your refinance. And now you've got a long-term loan for $70,000 in this case, where you didn't have to bring 20% down. Sometimes you may need to put a little bit of money down. Some hard money lenders might require some down payment. It's very rarely going to be 20%. And as you build relationships with them, often you can reduce that on the second, third, fourth project to 0% down. We've done it several times in our business. They do have higher rates for that short-term part. So don't be shocked if they have 10 or 12% and maybe a couple of points. Just know that they're allowing you to do this deal without as much money out of your own pocket, which may fit really well if the thing holding you back from buying another rental investment property is that 20% down. The third one, and the one that we use the most in our business, is private money lenders. Now, that is simply an individual who wants to loan their money so that you can do an investment project. They loan the money and you do the work. Why do we like this so much, and where can you use it? Well, we like it because the terms are very flexible. Whatever we agree to with the lender is what we will do. So that means we may be zero out of pocket. Many of our lenders, because we have developed long relationships with them, will loan us the purchase price and any repairs and any closing cost. So we are zero out of pocket in that deal. Also, if you take care of an individual private lender, they're most of the time happy to lend to you time after time after time. And as you develop these relationships, you can use them for your entire career. Private money lenders all have different goals and different needs. Some of them will only want to lend for 6 months or 12 months. If that's the case for you, then you'll want to plan on how you can refinance out of the property similar to how you would with a hard money lender so that you can pay back your private money lender. There's also many who'd like to lend a little bit longer, 3 years, 5 years. We've even had them lend up to 30 years on rental property. As long as they're continuing to receive a return on their investment, they're happy to leave their money in for a longer term. Where would you find a private money lender? You're most likely to find your first private money lenders within your sphere of influence. Many people start with family members or co-workers or good friends of theirs. But anyone who trusts you, you develop a relationship with where it benefits both of you, where you have more projects to do, more investment property, and they have capital, but they don't want to be an active investor. That's where the relationships will start. But most of the time, they'll start with someone that you already know because they trust you and they believe in you to lend you money to go do the project. As you develop more relationships and you treat them well, they're often willing to refer you to other people who can then be private lenders for you as well. As far as the paperwork for how to draw the documents between you and a private lender, you can go back to what you might have used with the seller financing, where you close to the title company and you can leverage the relationships the title company has with their real estate attorneys to assist you in drawing up the documents. Even if you're friends, you still want to have everything documented and drawn up the right way. But just because you may not know the person to go to, don't let that stop you. Your title company, a real estate attorney, someone local to you can help you draw up those documents. It will show you exactly how you've agreed to repay them or when you agree to refinance and give them all of their money back. Again, it's very flexible between you and a private lender. Whatever you agree to is what you can do to buy your investment property. So, is paying a lower down payment really a good idea? A lot of times it is, but there are also some benefits to making a higher down payment. Depending on your situation, if you make a larger down payment, well, it will reduce your monthly mortgage payment because you'll be financing a lower amount. If the monthly mortgage payment is your biggest concern, you could consider putting down more money to have a lower monthly payment. Another benefit would be if you put more money down, you can often get a lower interest rate. A lower interest rate, especially over the life of the loan, can save you quite a bit of money. Also, how long do you plan to have that loan? How long do you plan to own that property? All would be factors to consider when you're thinking about making a larger down payment in order to have a lower interest rate. And also, if you were to make a larger down payment, there is a better chance of your loan being approved because as the lender, they're going to look at it and say, well, you've brought a lot more money to the table. They seem much more committed to this project because they're putting their own money down for a larger down payment, which can give you a much better chance of having your loan approved. So there are times where, for the right person, a larger down payment is a better idea. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found some ways that you could look to buy your next rental investment property without having to put 20% down.